to this. What is interesting, even in the changing dynamics in the region, is that you've had Prime Minister Erdogan at the Arab League, you've had others, and you of course got the Arab Peace Initiative on the table since 2002, which is still strongly supporting the two-state solution. The reality on the ground, of course, is that we're moving further away from it because of the continued settlement building and the actual sort of facts on the ground are making that much more difficult. This may be, of course, the last chance to do it, which is why, of course, we need a multilateral effort, perhaps with the US at its lead, which enshrines this particular paradigm and this solution, and which is a piece of paper strong enough in order to be able to change the facts that have emerged on the ground. If you ask Palestinians, and all the polling I've seen, is that they are still broadly in favor of the two-state solution. If you ask the Israelis, the polls that I've seen also say the same thing. We just haven't been able to find a way in order to realize that. And let me just say, the current effort is probably one of the most amateurish I've ever seen in negotiations. And I've been following this and being involved in it for quite a while. And it's really regrettable that we have got to a stage where we're having a confrontation on voting rather than on trying to collectively find that solution.
I think there's a tricky point here, which is the United States vetoing the application of Palestine. This may be perceived by others as ending the whole issue of the two-state solution. And this would be, I think what the United States is doing now is trying to not to reach that point, trying to send the message that we still believe in two-state solution. However, we believe this can happen through negotiation, engagement. But the experience for the last 5 years, with, as you mentioned, with the government in Israel, has approved that there is no real will in the Israeli side to achieve such thing. So basically, I think it's a tricky moment to see what the United States will do, especially, and how this will affect the whole idea of a two-state solution. I think Europeans, Russia, other states, they will be worried about the future of two-state solution if they reject this application.
Okay, so we'll open it up to your questions. Try to the extent possible to keep your questions brief. We'll start with the ambassador here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate very much what I hear from both Dr. Mahjoub and Dr. Salman. They enlightened all the angles of the issue here, but I want to give a small comment on the mark who are the winners and the losers. Here, for us the Palestinians, either we become big winners or small winners. I don't expect much that we are going to be the losers, because we've been losing for more than 60 years. To add another failure to us, it doesn't change much our situation. But sure, we are going to win. If we get the membership, it's a great step forward that would make the peace process brought back to the track. It isn't going to be leaving the peace process at all. Now, once we get the membership, we will become a state, and its land is under regulation by another member state of the United Nations. So we have the whole game of the process of negotiating in order to come to the two-state solution will be changed, which is very important. It's a great step. Of course, as Brother Salman said, we don't expect much that is going to happen now, because the Americans are very determined to use the veto in case it goes to voting. We will be very sorry if we see the Americans use the veto against it, because the greater loser will be the credibility of the American administration as an honest broker. It will never be neither honest nor a broker in the future. And the other losers will be the Israelis, because it will be very clear that the Israelis, who are not serious and have never been serious, they will show more clearly that they are not serious, that they want to be a partner in the peace process. They want to impose their will as triumphants on the Palestinians and the Arabs as the losers in a war, see? So that puts puts the international community, as you said, under their responsibility to take care of the whole affair again. Because so far, during the 18 years of negotiations, the international community was not allowed to be a partner in the negotiating game here, you see. But never the United States was able to make Israel abide by the rules of the game. I mean, to play the game of negotiations according to the parameters based on the international legitimacy. And the Palestinians all the time showed readiness to an extent that makes us sometimes appear ridiculous. Readiness to negotiate. And whatever the Americans propose as a way to facilitate negotiations, even if it is not logical, we accept it. And all the time the Israelis don't accept it. I think the speech of Mr. Obama on the 19th of May, when he talked about the Palestinian state within the borders of 1967 with agreed upon swaps of land, it was accepted by the Palestinians. But who opposed it? Mr. Netanyahu came to the White House and he gave 7 no's to President Obama and went to the Congress, and everybody knows the game which was in the Congress of blogging all the time. So here the Israelis are following the American effort, in fact. So it will be really, we feel very sorry if the Americans use the veto against us, but we know that they are going to use, because they told us, please don't go. We don't use the veto. We said, thank you, don't use the veto. They said, no, but if you go, we are obliged to do the veto, to make the veto. Once again, there is a story by the grandmothers in Palestine, when the mother-in-law says to her daughter-in-law about the loaf of bread. A full loaf of bread, please don't break it into pieces. And never eat pieces of the loaf of the bread. And eat until you are satisfied. Now, I don't know. Now, this is the same game the Americans are playing with the Palestinians. So, we are not going to be big losers. Either we win a good step forward, or we will a smaller step that is upgrading the status of the Palestinian state, as your Excellency said, when we have a non-member state and we will be members of the ICC, which is very important. It counts for the Israelis, So here we don't think that we are the losers. But if the other partners, if the Europeans, don't come to help here, they will be losing also their influence. So in this part, I don't think that we are going to lose too much. But another point here, I want to say that now, on the 23rd, on next Friday, it's not going to be either yes or no and it's finished. For us, it is a beginning of a long process. It might take more than a year even, as you said. Now, in case the Secretary General used that trick of forming a committee to discuss it, and that takes several months, okay. We'll be patient for more than 60 years. We can wait for another couple of months, 4, 5, 6. But who knows what will happen on the ground? Things are, very critical situation in Palestine. And as you said, the whole atmosphere around us is changing. And I hope that all the partners here, the United States and the Europeans, are aware of the real potential dangers in case the Palestinians will feel disappointed. Thank you.
Can I just add in terms of losers? There is, of course, a scenario in the day after whereby which Palestinians do lose, in that the Israelis decide that you're not a partner to negotiate with, start withdrawing tax revenues that are Palestinian tax revenues, but which they collect on your behalf, which they did in 2000.
Yeah,
in fact,
we won't get our salaries, that's all.
Yes, which is about 100 million, I think, a month, actually. And then also, of course, there is bills who are being dissuaded right now within Congress being discussed about withdrawing US aid money, which is about $500 million a year. And then, of course, on top of that, the Europeans who are by far the biggest donor, who paid, I think last year, $1.4 billion in aid to the Palestinian side. As well as, of course, other diplomatic measures that could be taken against you. Those would, I guess, have quite a dramatic effect in terms of the viability of the Palestinian Authority to function. And again, the question would be, will Arabs or others step up in order to plug that gap? So often Arab states have pledged, but they don't necessarily come up with the funds that they've promised. And that has been a pattern that I've certainly seen since the start of the Second Intifada in 2000.